Hey guys, my name is Jonathan Reich. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Louisiana, and today I'm making a video for all of the accountants out there. Um, as part of my job, I have to get deep into the weeds whenever I'm working within an accounting ERP in order to create solutions to generate accurate financial statements. And I can't tell you what is more frustrating than making an awkward journal entry or like a one-time off entry that I probably won't need to do too often and not having the ability to do it. I know that the entry is correct. It's going to do what I want to my P&L or to my balance sheet to correct some type of issue that maybe a small business owner didn't realize they were creating. And I'm not able to do it. So now I have to find a workaround and spend even more time because I've already come up with this awkward journal entry to get everything kind of fixed up. And now I have to find a way to get that data into the system. And I'm not going to point any fingers, but talking about you, QuickBooks, a lot of times I find myself struggling with QuickBooks to do stuff like that. Today I wanted to talk about some of the more technically advanced accounting softwares out there and what I like about them and what sets them apart. And that's kind of the gist of this whole video. So the first guy I've got on my list today in no particular order is Puzzle. I'm starting with Puzzle because it's one of the newer platforms out there that I've been very impressed with. But why am I impressed with it? Well, for starters, it has something that it seems like very few other accounting softwares have, except Sage. Sage gets a pass on this one. Fixed asset accounting. If I have computers or the office chair that I'm sitting in, or company trucks or furniture like couches out my office waiting room, all of that has an expected useful life. And so I need to be able to enter the value of that asset on my balance sheet, as all of you accountants know. And I'm going to need to depreciate that year after year because eventually that truck's not going to be worth $100,000. It's going to be worth $50,000 in about 5 years. And so Sage will allow me to create a fixed asset listing that says, hey, here's the asset, here's the amount that I paid for it, here's about how long I think it'll last, either under useful working life or whatever the IRS guidelines dictate that it's worth. And then it just automatically pushes that data through. And it's so simple. It's almost like an Excel spreadsheet, but now I don't have to worry about keeping an up-to-date Excel spreadsheet. Did someone buy something and forget to add it to the sheet? Did we sell this thing and is it still part of our asset listing that's 170 items long? This is a real pet peeve of mine, and I don't understand why more platforms don't have something this simple. And Puzzle does, and does a good job. And it interacts very well with its clean user interface and its AI-driven accounting software background. Other stuff that Puzzle does really, really well is you can create contra GL accounts. So what is a contra GL account? If you're not like super in the weeds like a CPA might be, maybe you're just a staff accountant or a bookkeeper. A contra GL account is basically an account that shows the opposite of what a typical balance account or a typical account balance would be for that type of account. So let's say I'm looking at a P&L. Maybe I need to create a contra GL account for income because I need to show a negative number. Maybe there's a deduct in the P&L. Maybe somebody accidentally calculated or counted sales tax as part of net income. And so now we need to pull that out because it's really showing gross. That mistake should have never been made. And now because it was made, we need to go back and fix it. And typically the quickest way, a down and dirty way to do that would be to create a contra GL account. And so you can't do that in a lot of accounting platforms. And with using Puzzle, I have found that you can. It's a very nice feature. Nothing to it. It's just an opposite account balance. But for something like QuickBooks, that's everybody uses, you can't do it. Very, very frustrating. One other thing that I like from a technical standpoint about Puzzle is it creates a close checklist, which is super handy because now I'm not having to have a shared file between me and my team members saying, hey, did you reconcile the bank account? Hey, did you do your asset true up? Did you do this? Did you do that? It's all within Puzzle. You can sign off on it. Boom, good to go. So like just these simple quality of life things. They're super small that just seem to have kind of been overlooked for the last who knows how long in a lot of these accounting platforms. Puzzle picks up on. And there's a whole slew of features. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff within Puzzle. If you can do it in QuickBooks, you can do it in Puzzle Plus. So it's pretty feature rich. So I wanted to go ahead and kick that one off. The next one I want to talk about is Sage. So Sage also does a very good job from a technical accounting standpoint from my experience as a CPA. So Sage is going to be best for mid-sized businesses. Typically, the clients that I've worked with are $200 million a year clients. That's what it takes to get the most out of Sage. Sage is very granular. It's very adaptable. But the problem with Sage, in order to take advantage of the many things it can do, such as creating forecasting and budgeting within the software, you are going to need a IT team. Really, in my experience, you need someone who's technically savvy to be able to connect APIs to your banking modules so that you can have that data pushed over and ready to reconcile. Another thing that I really like about Sage is the dimensional chart accounts. So you can tag accounts as closing or non-closing. You can tag them to departments. You can tag them to entities. You can tag them to projects. You can tag it to locations. So I worked with a company that had over 50 subsidiaries. And so we had to use Sage to essentially consolidate it all up to one parent company. You could do it. It was a lot of work. We had a pretty good sized team, about 8 people working to do it. But it's possible to do with Sage. So Sage does have some of those technically advanced concepts. It's a very powerful platform, but it's best for mid-sized businesses that have a team of, at least 3 or 4 to up to 10, 12, 14 accountants who are working in it, who understand how to get data into Sage, how to use the reporting. I mean, even the reporting functionality in Sage is kind of advanced, and I'm in it all the time. So it can be a little overwhelming. So that's something to consider if you are thinking about onboarding yourself or your client into Sage. The other thing, it's going to cost some money. Sage is pricey, very, very pricey, at least in my experience, especially once you start integrating custom solutions. So while it's very technical, it does have its drawbacks. The next guy we should talk about is the one that everyone loves to pick on, QuickBooks. QuickBooks, so, more or less. It has some technically advanced features that accountants appreciate in that it can kind of field everything for everyone. So that's a feature, not a bug, in my opinion. And so that should definitely be considered. It works for most platforms. And that's why everyone goes to it. It plugs and plays with most platforms. That's why most businesses typically use it. You can customize your GL accounts. You're not going to be able to make contra GL accounts. That's a bit too technical for QuickBooks, I guess. It does have some basic location and department tracking. You can set up recurring journal entries within QuickBooks, but it takes a little bit of time to kind of set them up that first time. But after that, it's like everything else. You just plug, play, let it go. Forget about it. Closing the books, there's nothing there really, in my opinion. Basically, you just say, hey, what day do you want to lock the books? And then all it does is prevent you from making a journal entry. There's not really a close checklist. So it doesn't have those technical features like Puzzle, like Sage. But it's not overwhelming. It works. It's cheap. You can be just about anything, and QuickBooks will work. You can get your reporting out of it. You can load your bank statements to it. You're able to just surf the system. It's not overwhelming. That's why everyone uses it. So from a technical standpoint, QuickBooks is kind of on the bottom of the list. But for a business owner or someone who just has a bookkeeper who may not be the most experienced, QuickBooks works. Let's talk about the behemoth. This is one that I'm pretty excited to talk about. Sorry, Xero. We'll get to you later. Let's talk about NetSuite. So I've only used NetSuite with one client. But I wanted to mention it just because it is such a beast, is such a behemoth. And let me tell you, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. NetSuite is expensive. It is customizable. It is for enterprises. It is not for the gas station up the road, unless that guy owns 200 gas stations. It is just, you can do anything you want. It's customizable. Everything is plug and play. But the other thing is, because it's so nothing is plug and play. I did not mean to say everything is plug and play. Nothing is plug and play. Everything's going to require a custom solution. You can have custom solutions for everything from inventory to payroll to expense management. It's all there. But it's too much for just about every business. It's just there's no need to kind of wrap yourself up in something that is that advanced. It's a waste of time. And you can see right here, they're not even going to tell you how much it costs to implement NetSuite. But if they're asking what your annual revenue is before you even can figure out what your price is, just know it's going to cost you. However, NetSuite can field anything. Fortune 500 companies can use NetSuite. It's super impressive. It's robust. You're going to have a support team ready. If something's not right, you have a one-to-one phone line to be able to get to your support reps so that they can field it, fix it, and get you back on track. It's owned by Oracle. That comes with its own host of problems. In that people say that Oracle is a software company with a team of lawyers behind it. It's basically true. Once you're in that contract, you're kind of stuck until the contract expires. So just something to consider. Migration is expensive. If you have outgrown a larger platform like Sage and you need NetSuite, I almost always recommend SAP or some other platform that is not Oracle based, just because of our bad experiences with them. But I just thought it would be fun to throw this one out here because it is to a T an accountant stream. You can do anything you want with it, given enough time and money, of course. So the final guide we're going to talk about today is Xero. Xero has some technical features. It does have a fixed asset module. It does straight line depreciation, which is super useful for things like furniture, desks, computers, chairs, things like that. But it's going to lack flexibility. Like if you want to do a double declining balance depreciation methods, so think about like a truck, how a truck loses most of its value and then it kind of plateaus. It's not going to be able to do that. It's only going to be able to do straight line. So while it is a feature, it is limited. You can lock periods, close periods, but it's not going to generate a closed checklist similar to what Puzzle would do. So that is something to consider. It does have a dynamic and dimensional chart of accounts, so similar to Sage. So Xero is kind of checking all the boxes, surprisingly, because Xero is a relatively simple platform. Still not as robust and technical as Puzzle, however, but it's doing its best, especially for a platform that is not as expensive as Xero may be. But you can tag things within your chart of accounts, which can help map things if you do have multiple locations. But as soon as you start introducing multiple subsidiaries, toss it out. It's going to get too complicated for it. It's going to buckle down. You can also do intercompany accounting, like I mentioned, but it's not very robust, but it's doable. It's going to be impossible, for instance, within QuickBooks. It's doable within Puzzle. It's doable within Xero. And it excels in Sage, for instance. So Xero does check some of the boxes. The only bad thing is you're going to have to kind of do the grunt work to get all of this set up. There's not going to be anything that's going to like be plug and play with Xero as you're setting some of these items up. The other thing is Xero can get pricey as you start to move up those higher tiers. That has all these features. You're looking at about $80 a month. More if you're running payroll or you're onboarding additional folks into the software. So just something to consider. Even though Xero does kind of check the boxes, it does stack up in terms of cost. All right, guys, that's going to round up our list. I'm glad I was able to kind of go over some of the lesser known items on this list. I feel like not a lot of people would get to talk about NetSuite or Puzzle. I just thought that it'd be a fun little list to put together for the accountants from a CPA, because business owners typically don't care about stuff like this. They just want us to make it work. And if you've got the right tools to make it work, it makes our jobs a lot easier, which saves the clients money, which makes them happy. So hopefully some small business owner gets to watch this video and makes the right choice based off the information that I've shared with them.